Most people think that scraping 50,000 leads would take an entire team, or expensive tools, or even coding skills. But what if I could show you how to do it with one simple automation workflow? In this video, I'm going to show you how to build an automated lead machine in a software program called n8n using only 4 nodes. If you've got a business to grow, content to promote, or offers to sell, this is how you scale fast without burning out. Stick around, because once you see how this works, you'll never hunt for leads again the same way. If you're new to the channel, my name is John Richey, and I run an AI automation agency called goodworks.ai to help businesses unlock the power of AI automation to save time, cut costs, and stay ahead of the competition. If you're completely new to n8n and have no idea where to start or what to automate, I just launched a new course that teaches you how to build simple workflows that solve real business problems in only 8 days. So if you're interested in something like that, click on the link in the description below to get started. Okay, so here we are in n8n, which is just an automation platform. And as promised, there's only 4 nodes here in my workflow. So I want to show you how it works first, and then we'll break it down node by node and show you what's going on behind the scenes. So first thing I'm going to do is click on Test Workflow, and that will launch my form. So let's go ahead and use the form and type all that information in. So Director of Marketing in the city, state of Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where I live, and for companies that have 1 to 10 employees. So I'll click on Submit, and now the form is submitted. And you see that right here, it's already working, it's spinning. The Apify actor is running, and now it's dumping the data into Google Sheets. And workflow executed successfully. So now if I go over to Google Sheets, you'll see we have a bunch of leads. First name, last name, email. So great, looks like it's working. If you want to save some time and get a copy of this workflow, you can do it by joining my school community. Once you get in there, click on the YouTube Resources tab and download the JSON file, and then import it right into n8n. Check out the link in the description below for my school community. So let's talk a little bit about what this problem solves, what tools you'll need, what skills you're going to be building, and then we'll talk a little bit about the workflow. So what problem are we solving with this workflow? Well, manually digging through the internet and multiple sources is time consuming. So trying to find leads online can take a lot of time, a lot of effort, and this workflow will automate that process for you. And the source of our leads is a platform called Apollo. If you're not familiar with Apollo, it's basically just a large database of leads, and it contains all their information like email, phone number, where they work, what's their title, etc. So we're using Apollo as our source, which is great because Apollo will provide us with verified emails, which is great because we don't want junk emails, right? We want emails that we know that work. That way, when we try to reach out to them, our efforts won't be in vain because the emails won't bounce. So it's important that you choose verified emails. Okay, what tools are you going to need to accomplish this workflow? Obviously, you're going to need n8n, which does have a 14-day free trial. Apollo, you have to sign up for an account, but it is free. We'll use Apify to run our actor, which is free-ish, and I'll talk about that later in the video. And then you'll need Google Sheets, which is also free. So what skills are we going to be building as we walk through this workflow? We're going to be learning how to build workflows in n8n. We'll learn how to make calls to an API. We'll learn how to create a form in n8n. We'll learn how to use dynamic variables, and finally how to add data to Google Sheets. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Apollo, which is our source of our leads. Okay, so once you get into Apollo, you have all these options on the left, but the easiest thing to do is just click on People. All right, and so here we can kind of filter out what kind of people we're looking for. So the first thing you want to do is change email status to verified, because we want verified emails. If they're unverified, there's a chance that when you email them, it won't work or it'll bounce. So we want verified emails, which is important. Job titles, we said Director of Marketing. So we'll choose that. We'll uncheck include people with similar titles. We'll uncheck that. And you'll notice that as we change the filters on the left, the number of people down here at the bottom is changing. So right now we have 59,820 prospects, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to update our location to wherever you want to look for. So I'm going to put Charlotte, North Carolina for now. And now we've got 236 leads. And then finally, we can choose number of employees. This is important because it might help us determine how large the company is. And you can also see on the right-hand side a preview of how many prospects you might get back. So let's choose 11 to 20. And as we see there, we got 14 leads back. Great. So that's how you use Apollo by itself. And that's great, but we want to automate the search process and automate the process of getting that data into a spreadsheet so then we can further process those leads. Okay, so that's step one. Step one is to go to Apollo and do your search. And that's important. So what we want to do at this point is just copy and paste that URL in your browser and copy that into a safe place. And we'll hold on to that for now because you'll need that later. Okay, so let's go back to our list here. So let's see, Apollo, n8n, Apify. Okay, let's talk about Apify. So Apify is a platform that has pre-built scrapers that you can just click on it and interact with that scraper. Someone has already built the tool for you. You can just use this platform to interact with it. You can also interact with it using platforms like n8n and make.com. So if you scroll down, you'll see they have tons of different actors already built. You can scrape data from LinkedIn. You can scrape data from Facebook. You can scrape data from all sorts of places. In fact, right here it says they have over 6,000 pre-built actors, and you can choose these categories here to look for them. But the one that we're interested in is this Apollo scraper right here. And so it's important that you grab the right one if you want to try to build this. So the one that we're using is by code underscore crafter / Apollo IO scraper. Okay, that's important because there's multiple Apollo scrapers out there, but this is the one that we'll be using for demo purposes. Okay, so you'll see there that it says you can scrape up to 50,000 leads. That's crazy. All right, so there's also a couple more things to think about here. One, it says this actor is paid per result. You're not charged for the Apify platform usage, only a fixed price for each data set of 1,000 items in the actor's output. So that means every time you run this and get 1,000 leads, you're going to be charged $1.20. Now here's something else to be aware of. Right here, it says users on the free Apify plan can fetch up to 100 leads per run. So you can get around that limitation by paying for a basic platform fee. So if you go to Apify and go to, pricing? Yeah, if you go to pricing, so like if you do the $39 a month plan, you won't have that limitation anymore. You can scrape, you can scrape up to 50,000 leads per run. So that's how that works. Okay, so this is the actor we're going to be using to scrape Apollo. And you'll see all you have to do is take that URL that we had earlier, and all you have to do is copy that and drop that into this input field right here. So we'll copy paste the one that we had from earlier, which if you remember gave us back 14 results. You have to leave this at 500. It's just the way it works. So what we can do now is just hit save and start. And now that just triggered the actor to run. And now it says the actor is getting your data. Okay, so the actor is finished running. And as you see, we have all this data. And just as we got on 14 results on Apollo, we've got 14 results here in Apify. So we know that the scraper is working properly. So that's great. Okay, so now we've gone through Apollo, we've gone through Apify, we've talked about the Google Sheets. Okay, so how do we put all this together in n8n? So let's do that together. Okay, so what I did is I created this form. And that's, if you go over here and just do a search for n8n form, you can generate your own form. And when you click on it, you can set up your form title, give it a description, and define the elements. So the elements I added to the form match up to the search input fields here in Apollo, right? So I had, let's go through the form again. Let me run it one more time. Okay, so remember in Apollo, we were able to search by job title, number of employees, and location. So if we go back to my form, I matched it up exactly as the form in Apollo, job title, location, number of employees. Okay, so I did that so that you don't have to keep going back and forth to Apollo every single time. So this is a huge time saver. Instead of going here and changing the form variables and copy and pasting that URL every single time, I just built the form right there in n8n to do it for you. So the next thing that I added to the workflow here is, it's called edit fields set. Edit fields set is the name of the module that you want to add to your workflow. So if we take a look at this, what I did was I just created a variable called search query. And for the value of it, I put in that URL that we copied from Apollo from the browser, right? Remember we copied that. I just put that into this field here. And it's just, basically I'm just setting a variable. That's all I'm doing, is setting a variable called search query. Okay, the next thing I added to the workflow is an HTTP request node. So to add that, you just go to the search window and go HTTP request. There it is. So I just added that to my canvas. So let's take a look at how it works. So this is going to allow us to connect to Apify from n8n. So how do we actually do that? Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to grab the URL of the actor. And how do we do that? Well, over here, let's go to the main page of the actor, which is here. On the right-hand side, we'll click on API and choose API endpoints. Okay, then we'll scroll down until we see the option titled Run Actor synchronously and get dataset items. So that's the endpoint that we want to run. So Apify makes it super easy to grab that information. All we have to do here is just copy paste by clicking on this button here. We'll click on that. Now it's been copied. We'll go back to n8n and you'll see if I paste it, it's the same as that one I already had in there. So I just wanted to show you how that works. So that's already done for us, and you'll notice that it already has our token or our API key there appended to the bottom or the end of the URL string. So that's done. Next, we have to actually send JSON to the actor on Apify. So make sure you set the method to post, check send body, and then the content type is going to be JSON. And then here in the drop down, use JSON. And let's take a look at this JSON here. Basically what we're doing is copying the same JSON that is in Apify. So if we click on runs and click on our previous run and then click on input, you can see this is the JSON that we're going to copy paste over here into n8n. So if I click on there, okay, so clean output false, total records 500, URL. The URL is coming from the previous node. Remember, we set the variable called search query. So we pop that in there. File name, Apollo Prospects, that's just fine. So there's our JSON. So that HTTP request node is all done and ready to go. So when we run that actor, it's going to go out to Apify, turn on this actor, and you'll see it spinning here. And the last thing we need to do is it'll just spin and wait for results. And the last thing it will do is dump them into Google Sheets. So I've already got this Google Sheet set up. It's called Apollo Leads. We'll dump the data into Sheet 1. And I've just mapped first name, last name, email from the results from the Apify actor. So if I run this one more time, let's just walk through and show it to you. Okay, we'll dump that out and do it one more time. Save. Okay, test workflow. Okay, Director of Marketing in Charlotte, North Carolina. 1 to 10 employees, hit submit. Okay, so that should have fired off an actor. And there it is right there on the screen. You can see it running. It just told Apify to start running a new actor, and now it's done. You see it spinning, and now we have data in our spreadsheet. So let's go through these one by one. So let's open up this node. Okay, so over here on the left, this is the information that came from the form, right? Director of Marketing, Charlotte NC, 1 in 10 employees. And so now we have this query string, but you'll notice that it still has, it's all static data. So how can we make this dynamic? So the easiest thing to do is just copy, paste. So we need to change out the variables, right? Because we want to make this form dynamic. So the things we need to change out are the title. So I'll go over here and take out Director of Sales, and I'll drag it over here from my left, like that. Okay, what else? Location. Okay, let's take out the Charlotte NC part. And I'm dragging the location. Right, and the last thing we need to swap out is the number of employees. We'll drag that over here. Boom. Okay, so what's cool about n8n is as you're making these changes here in this panel with dynamic variables, you can see it automatically changing on the right-hand side over here under the result. That's pretty cool. I know in make.com you can't do that. So it's really cool that you can see it in real time, see it changing the result string. So now I can just take out the old one, which was static data. Okay, so there, that one's done. And then we can test the step again if you want to. And then we can go to the actor. So here's the actor. You can see the search query coming from our previous node. That was passed here in the URL section of the JSON. And then on the right-hand side here, you'll see the output. And what's cool about n8n is you can change the format of the output. So you can change it to a schema view, a table view, or a JSON view. And down here at the bottom, you can scroll through the different results. So as you click on these buttons, you're paginating through the different results. And then finally, if we go to the Google Sheets node, you'll see here's the data coming from the previous node, all the data that we just got back from the actor. And you'll see that on the right-hand side, you'll see the output into the Google spreadsheet, first name, last name, and email. So there you go. That's how you can scrape up to 50,000 leads using 4 simple nodes in n8n. Again, if you want a copy of this workflow, check it out in my school community, and you can find a link to that in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.